feel compelled to just make one or two quick remarks. As I said before, the public comment period is that time when the public gets to express their views, their suggestions, criticisms, objections, and so forth. It's your time to speak, and it's not our time to engage in debate with you or to respond, but to, as Stacey Mortensen pointed out, to listen, both to compliments and to criticisms. But there were two comments made this morning that I really feel it's important for us to just clear the air on. And my colleague, Lynn Shank, exhorts us all the time that we need to do a better job communicating what we're doing to the public. I think this is one of those points where we need to do that. And the first thing I was concerned with was any suggestion that this board would in any way operate outside or in exceedance of or trying to ignore a decision or an order of this judge or any other judge. We sit here, and I think that of all the people in the room, the people who have the greatest sense of fidelity to what the voters passed in Prop 1A are sitting up here. We are endeavoring to build what the voters asked us to build when they passed that, an electrified high-speed rail system that connects our great cities in this great state. And that's what we're building. That's what we're intending to build. And we have never wavered from that in any way. The judge found that along the way, in putting together a funding plan in November 2011, we fell short. We acknowledge that he found that. That informs our actions, and it will inform them in the future. But as our general counsel pointed out, he was also asked by plaintiffs to issue an order stopping the project, and he didn't do so. So we're operating in complete conformance with what the judge said. We did, and we will continue to do that. The second point that was made, well, on that point of fidelity to Prop 1A, it was said that, well, there's no way that you can have 2 hours and 40 minutes. There's no way with the blended approach that you can achieve these things. And again, I think, as Ms. Shank has pointed out, maybe we've just not done a good job of communicating this. The bedrock of our decision in April of 2012 that we could proceed with a blended approach was the realization that we could achieve the objectives of Prop 1A at lower cost. It was never to walk away from those provisions of Prop 1A. So we sit here today believing absolutely that we will have the speeds and the time necessary to accomplish what the voters intended to accomplish and do it at less cost. I just want people to be really clear on that. We've walked away from nothing. And if you look at the business plan that was adopted in November 2008, right after the vote, there's a map in there that Senator Galgiani pointed out to Mr. Morales and me one day sitting in her office that showed that at that time, they showed different speeds on the system because just by the nature of its geometry going through high-density areas, it's going to slow down. The trains don't come into Paris at 200 miles an hour, and neither would they do that on the California high-speed rail system. So we are building the system envisioned in Prop 1A, and we're doing it at cheaper cost. So I just felt that it's important to make those 2 points because fidelity to the law is something that every one of us takes very seriously. And finally, I do understand this concern, particularly with people who are in the path of this, about displacement of homes and businesses and farms. And I think the evidence that we take that very seriously can be found in the agreement that was reached with the Madera and Merced County Farm Bureaus, where we have gone to extraordinary lengths to set aside and protect agricultural land. That agreement could be a model up and down the state. We've already had other farm bureaus ask us if they could sign on to that template. But I think it's really important to note something that the mayor of Fresno has pointed out. You know, we're looking at maybe 4,500 acres of land to take up and down the 130 miles of our initial construction. The city of Fresno, not the county, not the combined cities of the valley, the city of Fresno in the last 40 years converted 50,000 acres of agricultural land to residential development. Residential sprawl is the single biggest threat to the Central Valley. It's followed by other threats: highway expansion, energy production. I'm not sure high-speed rail is in the top 3 or 4. And in fact, I think that high-speed rail, we've just seen from a study that came out of UCLA and University of California Davis Law Schools, can be a really critical tool to help prevent sprawl in the Central Valley. So we don't sit up here thinking, oh, if we can just run over these farms and businesses, we can put in this shiny train system. We sit here and we think, if we do this right and we plan for it correctly, we will help enhance the environment, save ag land in the Central Valley. Now, you can disagree with this. It's your right and your privilege, and we'll engage in that discussion and debate. But in terms of the hearts and minds of this organization and where we are, that's what we're thinking. So I appreciate people allowing me to take just a moment to comment on that. With that, what I'd like to